Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Elizabeth, Executive Director of the International School of the Voice. Welcome to The Art of the Craft of the Art, Episode 3, Onset of Phonation. This is the place where I've often called in lessons the part of the equation X. This is the moment at which everything you've built before the inhale, the exhale, this is where all of that work now meets sound. And just as if you are drawing a bow and arrow, everything that you've done before you release the arrow will determine how that arrow travels and where it lands. It's exactly the same for what we do, except that we have to also continue, so to speak, to guide the arrow or to continue the same air pressure throughout the phrase until we draw in a new breath. So I find that many young singers or people that are new to this technique spend the majority of their time worrying about the sound. The sound. They come to me and they say, I've got 1 month before this audition or this competition. Can you teach me to sing this beautiful soft high note? Well, show me how you inhale, show me how you exhale. There's no real shortcut. So you cannot miss the discipline of step 1 and step 2. If you are missing step 1 and step 2, and I mean by A, not knowing what it is, B, not understanding how to apply it, implement it, so you need to understand it conceptually. You need to be able to apply it, so it needs to have application. And then number 3, that application needs to be so disciplined and so conditioned so that the response is immediate and is always there, right? Continually present. That platform makes it possible to create the sound desired every single time. That's what a technique is. It gives you what you are aiming for each time. It's not different, even though it's an abstract form that we send signals cognitively, and then through the neurological part of the brain, it stimulates the laryngeal nerve. It matters not. We still have to guide and create the shape of the instrument in order for that conduit, so to speak, this I'm talking about, the voice itself, the throat itself, the resonators, all of that, those conduits have to be managed before you release the sound. So this episode, for example, is going to have several parts. I have already planned for this to have 2 other parts to go along with it, but I have a feeling that this is going to be revisited a lot with several guests over the coming season. So we're just going to talk about today onset of phonation. What happens after you've done the inhale, after you've set up the exhale, and then we make sound. Something very, very important to note is that once you have set up those things, like I said, the inhale, and now we're going to release the air, we want to make sure, and we talked a lot about this in episode 2, but it goes together with this very first component of the third part of the technique, the phonation portion, because it is completely dependent upon how you allow the air pressure emission rate to, how you allow the air to be emitted. Okay? We're looking for the same pressure, and ideally, we're looking for the lowest pressure emission rate possible. This also means that we're not going to use any muscles here, this hyoid business. We're not going to use these muscles to help prep step the sound or help onset in any way. We don't really ever want to touch the throat. Let me talk a little bit more about that. For example, let's just show you what I'm talking about with the hyoid muscle. I mean this thing. We never want to use that. I'll demonstrate. I'll just sing a simple E vowel, and then I'm going to move this muscle downward, and I want you to listen to what happens. Right? It's a throat closing muscle. Okay? So do not use this in onset of phonation or in any phonation. This is why we have soft chins. Not exactly the most beautiful thing. I can't think of a female that that is in love with the fact that she has a soft chin. But if you're a very fine singer, it's most likely you've got this muscle very relaxed. We don't use it. Okay, this is a muscle that contracts in this direction, and along with the bottom of the tongue pressing onto the epiglottis together, they push down onto the larynx, thusly closing it tightly so that when you drink or eat, it does not go down your trachea and you don't die. It goes down the esophagus behind it. So that's what these muscles are for. In subsequent episodes, I will demonstrate, talk about how to open the mouth to stretch without using this muscles, because that's probably your very next question. And so anyway, we don't want to use this to onset phonation. We don't want to press down with the tongue to onset phonation. We want no pharyngeal squeeze, okay, to onset phonation. It's inhale, exhale. I'm exhaling now as I speak to you, obviously. We want to be able to continue the air pressure the same all the way through. So many people have asked, okay, well, how do you start phonation if you're in the middle of this? Okay, you've got this inhale, you've got everything open, you're holding it open. You begin to release the air at the lowest air emission rate possible. What now? Well, you willfully make sound. Yes, it's like magic, really, in the mind, but there's no grabbing. You just have to learn the discipline of not doing any motions, no gestures here to begin sound. And it will be completely dependent upon how you release the air. It is impossible. This is why I'm saying do not start or be over overzealous about worrying about your sound. Worry about your inhale. Worry about the body, the spine, and how to make that low inhale consistently. Once you can do that, worry about learning how to release the air at the lowest air pressure emission rate. How about an exercise? We can try that. In my studio, I give out something called the 825. The 825 is 8 seconds of inhale and 25 seconds of exhale. Okay? I'll show you with my watch what I mean. Why 8? 8 because most people, when they begin this exercise, they're done inhaling or filling the lungs, you could say, to capacity in like 3 seconds. Okay? And I want them to be hyper aware of how the lungs are filling. So doing it over 8 seconds will feel a bit like a long time at first, but it will ensure that you're either doing it correctly or incorrectly. You'll know by second 4 if, I'm there too fast. You want to be able to be really conscious of how you're drawing in air. And 8 seconds also with guidance, with a master teacher, okay? They can show you in that 8-second time period, oh, I see you're trying to make room or do something to get more room in the throat by pushing the tongue down. Any of these, that'll give you enough time to be aware of any of those gestures should they be in your way. And then the 25 seconds is because that's generally an amount of time that will keep your ribs at their apex whilst exhaling. So I'm going to demonstrate. We're going to inhale together for 8 seconds. Here we go. You see the second hand moving? You see that? Let's try it. Exhale to 25. Notice that I was not blowing or flowing air, like pushing air out. I was exhaling that entire time. And my ribs stayed at their apex where I had originally breathed them. The air, the instrument, is built by the inhale. The instrument is kept into place by intercostal work more than any other ancillary muscles, but mostly by the rib muscles. The onset of phonation then will be added onto that equation, okay? A squared plus B squared equals C squared, okay? Well, Pythagorean fun. It's not, neither of them is independent. You can't do one okay and then manage to do 2 and 3 correctly. It doesn't work that way. It must be built from the foundation up. So in subsequent parts and episodes, we will continue this discussion, but I wanted just to lay this down. I think this Onset of Phonation platform is a really good place to start talking about optimization of the instrument or how to really use the instrument. I mean, think about it. Part 3, the sound making, is where the language is where the shaping of resonators is where stretching for akuti, higher tones and or lower tones, all of this happens in what I call part 3 of the technique. Optimization of the instrument is my current favorite way to talk about it, but I'll probably change my mind in time and use new vocabulary. So when I see you again, it will be episode 4. We're going to skip ahead because we have a really exciting guest, Kamal Khan, fantastic, amazing voice coach, world renowned. And we're going to be having a talk about not just the technique of what he does, but the art of what he does. So I'm really looking forward to that episode. So make sure you view that, but stay with us because this conversation has only just begun. And we will continue it throughout the summer season. And I will bring other guests on to demonstrate and to talk more about it. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts on it. Please share them on the YouTube page. And I thank you very much for watching this video. As they all say, like and subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon.